Hello, welcome to Rudy Road Fire Station. I am firefighter Graham Redding, and today I'm joined by our new Deputy Chief Fire Officer, Jo Bowcock. Jo, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks.
Congratulations on the promotion.
Thank you. I'm a month in.
How are you finding the job?
Interesting.
Different?
Yes and no. It's definitely busier.
Right.
We've gone through a period of waiting for the new Assistant Chief to come in as well, so we've been
double hatting.
Doing more, yeah.
Right, okay, so now he's here, you're a little bit less to do? Or?
Yeah, I'm relieved.
Right. Right, so we've got you down. We're going to fire through some questions as we've done with previous interviews. I'll start off with, why did you join the fire service? Ooh. And how long ago was it?
Gosh, I've not been asked that question for a long, long time. So I'm just about to go into my 20th year.
Wow.
So a couple of decades in the service, so seen best part of probably my best years of my life in the job. And why did I join? It was never my dream or aspiration to be a firefighter. It was never really on my radar. I didn't actually think that women could be firefighters a couple of decades ago. You didn't really see many female firefighters around. Yeah, I actually, it was a bit of a fluke. So at uni, lived in not the most desirable areas in Liverpool. Right. And there was quite a number of derelict fires happen in and around where I lived, and actually saw, the crews turn up, the teamwork, that everybody seemed to jump off the appliance and know exactly what they needed to be doing, and it really sparked my interest. Inspired. Yeah, definitely. That and the fact that I always felt inclined towards kind of public service, uniform services, whether it be military, police, So. What were you studying at uni? Studied law at uni. Right. So Liverpool Uni, 3 years. Joined uni, obviously thinking I'm going to be a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer. But probably, a lawyer in the military eventually. That's kind of what I had in mind. Although at 18, what do you know about life? And I had a bit of a U-turn when I'd spent a couple of years at A-level studying law, then did my degree, so 3 years. I'd absolutely had enough of it, and realised it probably wasn't going to be the career that I'd want in the long term. And then, inspired by the firefighters, you decided that was the path you're going to take? Yes. Good use of the law degree then. Yeah. Can you just sort of give us a brief overview? So you joined what, 2002? Yes. So can you kind of give us a brief overview of your career in the fire service? Because you didn't start in Oxfordshire, did you? No, obviously no. So I've been in 2 services. This is my 3rd. So I joined Nottinghamshire, which is my home city anyway, and again pure fluke that I ended up moving back to Nottinghamshire. I was told by a firefighter when I started inquiring about what's the process, how do you join. I was basically told by that firefighter that wherever is recruiting, just be willing to move anywhere in the UK because it's so difficult to get in. And Nottinghamshire was recruiting at the time, so I went through the process. And ended up back in Nottinghamshire. So spent 14 years of my career there, first 14 years. Kind of undertook various disciplines, heads of various departments, and but always, I think I'd always got the itch to be able to move on. I knew I kind of, in my mind, didn't want to stay in Nottinghamshire forever. And different opportunities got presented, but one thing I was particularly interested in was joining London Fire Brigade. Gold lights of the city, the big smoke. So I had an opportunity to go, and actually it was a secondment initially to go and work for the National Fire Chiefs Council, and work on the National Operational Guidance Programme that led into then a more secure position in London, heading up something called the Central Programme Office, dealing with a lot of the national transformation programmes in fire. I was there for 3 years and really enjoyed my time there. But my family circumstances had changed, so we moved closer to, kind of moved to the Gloucestershire-Oxfordshire border with my husband's work, and if I'm honest, I think it was time to leave London. I'd been there, I'd experienced it. It is a completely unique environment to work in, and I'm not sure I was completely happy with the person it was turning me into. Okay, so it's very, very full on London. Yeah, massive organisation. Yeah. Oh, huge, and I think I'd lost that feel of something that I really enjoyed working in Notts and kind of in a medium-sized service, which was you felt like a family. Yeah. You knew the people you worked with. London is amazing and it offers you so much opportunity, but it's very impersonal. It's very corporate. You develop some sharp elbows whilst you work there. And I think you have to make a decision of is this the fire and rescue service that you join and you want to be in the environment, or actually is it that whole smaller more, whether it's a combined service or within a county council, but actually feeling like you're part of something, you know, really important that matters to communities. And I miss that family feel. I miss that whole personal touch of being in a service.
And Oxfordshire being smaller, you kind of get that, don't you? I mean, even I've only been there 18 months, but I've noticed that. It's a smaller organisation, and you get to know people really well.
You do, and there's something about Oxfordshire that I've talked a lot about, actually. Experiencing 2 other services, there's something completely unique about our service. And, you know, I feel part of the family, and I've been here 2.5 years. I feel incredibly committed, and like this is where I do belong. And for it to happen in such a short space of time, but that is testament to the people in the organisation, because we have some amazing people that develop an amazing culture. So credit to, you know, the people that work in and around Oxfordshire Fire and Rescue Service for creating this very unique but incredibly great place to work.
Is there anything, so Notts and London, was there anything they perhaps did there or in their culture that maybe better than we've got in Oxfordshire at all, or you can think of?
Of course not.
Oh, good answer. Obviously you joined 20 years ago, 2 decades ago. When you say 2 decades, that seems ages ago.
It does, it makes me feel
you joined 2 decades ago. Very male-dominant environment, and I guess it still is. Have you seen that change?
I've seen a small amount of change.
Okay.
I've certainly not seen enough change.
Yep.
So again, the service I joined, demographics and culturally incredibly militant and old-fashioned, and I was only the 2nd female to ever join Notts.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the first one had left through difficult circumstances,
Right,
so I didn't have the easiest journey in anyway. And I think, you know, and I would imagine if I'd have joined Oxfordshire, I would have had a different experience, because culturally just worlds apart even now. And my career in Nottinghamshire was really, you know, highs and lows, and I've had some great times and met some wonderful people, but it was hard. And unfortunately, I think as a sector, we've not pushed hard enough, and we've not been brave enough to improve the diversity. And I don't just mean that outward kind of, you know, typical gender or kind of, you know, religious background or sexual orientation. It's more about that diversity of having people in that think differently. You know, I think there's a danger as when you join the Fire and Rescue Service, you become this clone of who you feel you need to be as this stereotypical firefighter. And we need you know, kind of broader perspectives than that. And there's the whole cliche of we need to be able to connect with our communities, but actually I think it's just about, you know, creating a great place to work. So, you know, an environment where people enjoy turning up to work and that we don't all look and feel like each other, you know.
Yeah. I think, and like we were talking earlier on, and like the importance of diversity. You know, you recruit a certain type, and they might be fitting really well, and they might be the dream team for it. But you need that diversity. The jobs that we go to can be so diverse, and sometimes you need just someone that might have a very similar background to the community that we're going to. Or it's really important.
I do caveat that though. So it's easy for me to sit here and say, you know, we've not done enough, we've not gone far enough. But it's this wicked problem. It's incredibly difficult to change, because it's often, you know, we join as firefighters and we were here for, you know, the 30-year career or even more now. And so actually having the churn and the opportunity to bring difference into an organisation is hard, because we don't get, particularly in services like ours where we don't have, you know, huge numbers of kind of recruits coming through every year. So increasing that diversity is difficult. And getting older and understanding it better, I think we have to start much earlier than, you know, that whole, do you fancy being a firefighter, is this a job for you? That we have young children that form their stereotypes at an incredibly young age.
Of course they do. We go to jobs now, we go to schools, and who wants to be a firefighter, and none of the girls will put their hands up. I'm like, don't you want it? No, it's just for boys, and it's not. And there's still, some of the kids are still calling us firemen, not firefighters. So it's
I have it
needs
with
to
my
change
own
that opinion.
8 years old, you know, and I remember him as a youngster looking at me. He's always ever seen me in a uniform. I've always been in the service, obviously, since he's been born. And looking at his dad, and he will associate his dad being a firefighter at a certain age more than he would his mum.
Really?
Almost in denial with, but no, mummy, that's not what you do. You know, obviously it's different now. He's older and he understands, and I'm very aware of the whole gender stereotypes and the impact that can have on a young mind, the young minds that, you know, we go and visit in schools, etc. So it's so important that we're careful about the language we use around youngsters, because I honestly think that, you know, the studies suggest that by the age of 7 the stereotypes are set on particularly gender stereotypes. Well, you know, let's be very, very aware of that, and that's
our job as role models to be role models to all, and you know, and not just a select audience.
Do you think the attitudes from the other firefighters, colleagues, has got better though, especially like towards diversity? You know, I mean, change is a weird thing, is it? I'm rubbish. I'm terrible at embracing change, but change is for the best a lot of the times. Do you think it's got better over the sort of the 20 years that you've gone through?
Yes, most definitely. And I actually think most of the change I've experienced and seen within the sector has been within the last decade, and probably the last kind of 5 to 8 years more so. So I think the awareness has definitely changed, and I think it's not without lack of trying, because you know, I think there's lots of good happened, but it feels like there's been more momentum, and that might be a societal thing rather than a sector thing. We're much more aware now of difference, and you know, and inclusion has become a sector priority and not just a society priority, not just a sector priority. And I think we see that in things like, you know, kind of some of the national and international movements that happen. I think we're much more accepting a difference and willing to listen and understand. I think that's another significant difference I've seen. But that doesn't mean to say that, and I think everything, you know, there's a flip side to everything, isn't there? And that doesn't mean to say that this job will naturally appeal to all women. No. You know, I think there's one thing about raising the profile, raising the awareness of what the job is. It's not just this whole stereotypical kind of, you know, macho role about tipping out on fire engines and blue lights. The role is much more diverse, and the difference that women and others of, you know, from different backgrounds can really help strengthen that team ethic that exists within a watch or a section. So I think there's been a number of things that's been really positive for us as a sector, and we are seeing, you know, I believe that you become what you see. So the more women, BAME, difference we have in our organisation, the more accessible it will feel to others in society and will look at us as a potential
even
job.
You said earlier on you'd never seen a female firefighter, so
never.
you didn't know that you could do that, and then you see one and you think, oh, you know, mate, that's something maybe I could do. Is there any advice, if there's any, because we'll obviously put this on social media, if there's any females watching that are thinking about, is there any advice that you would give them, or anything from your experience? Or
I think that just looking at the job, so that, you know, it is a lifelong career, and I think it will be, regardless of kind of the different changes that happen within our sector. People will join this job for the long term, but just understanding that it's a real, you know, it also brings some fantastic career opportunities, and I think I'm a case in point in that I joined as a firefighter, and I may have an academic background, but on joining as a firefighter, I never aspired to be anything other than a firefighter. Yet the job is really broad, and the role can be quite specialist as well. So I've enjoyed every part of my career, and I've never looked for the opportunity to progress or get promotion. I think if you take pride in what you do and you're good at what you do, then those things come naturally. So I just think, you know, it offers a brilliant prospect, and it's bigger than just being a firefighter if you so want it to be, and there's a whole career available. Yeah,
definitely. As you very well know. How have you found it with family life? Your husband's a chief at Royal Berkshire. Is it all talk at the dinner table? Who's better, Oxfordshire? No, Royal Berkshire?
No, there's a huge competition in our house, and obviously Oxfordshire's better. I think in some ways it helps, because particularly as both being in kind of strategic positions, it brings its challenges in terms of, you know, some of the stuff we deal with. So we have a really good understanding of each other's role. But for the sake of, you know, my 8-year-old, who probably knows more about the fire service than he should, we really limit that at home. And the last thing sometimes you want to do when you get home is talk about the job or talk about the day you've had. So generally it's about, you know, who's doing the school run tomorrow, you know, have we packed the swimming kit, and you know who's doing, you know,
the really mundane things.
It's the normal life stuff.
It's good, isn't it?
But that's, you know, I take as much pride in being a mum, you know, and more so I'd say actually, because I love my role as a mum, as I do, you know, kind of in my job, and we're parents, we're human beings, and we suffer from what everybody else does at the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
Life gets in the way.
So my last sort of
big question. Any future ambitions in the role? So anything planned that might affect us as firefighters, or changes that we might see? Any goals that you've got?
I'm really excited about our kind of short, medium and long-term future in Oxfordshire, because we've obviously had a shift. You know, me stepping into this position, it's created an opportunity to bring somebody in from a different service as well.
Yep.
So we've got Matt joining us as assistant chief, and you know, it feels like there's a real opportunity for the 3 principal officers, but the broader SLT, to be quite ambitious for the service. So, you know, the conversations I have with Rob and with Matt are, you know, we'll find a way, we'll kind of form some good, strong relationships,
yep.
but we actually then need to, you know, we're already starting to think about, so what's next for Oxfordshire? I think my experience of Oxfordshire before even joining is that it punches well above its weight. It's got a great reputation nationally as well. And, you know, Rob and myself kind of getting involved in some of the national pieces of work, you know, we're prominent. We're actually, for a small service, we're involved in a lot. So I think if anything, you know, I'll encourage Rob to kind of, you know, continue that, and my role as deputy will be to be a bit more inwardly focused and have a look at kind of what happens next for us.
Yep.
We've launched the new CRMP, which sets our priorities
yep.
for the next few years. But saying that, we always have to be prepared to react to things that are unexpected. So I think it's a really exciting time. I think there's lots of opportunity coming our way as well, and you've got what I will, you know, not necessarily in age, but this young leadership team, certainly kind of 3 POs coming together
yep.
and feeling quite excited about what the future looks like for us.
There's a lot of different experience, because we've got a lot of people from, like yourself, different backgrounds and different services as well, that they're probably going to lean into and bring them experiences in as well.
Which is new for Oxfordshire, because traditionally, you know,
people have stayed.
People have joined and they've got to senior positions. So, you know, we talk about that diversity in the non-conventional sense. You've got, you know, a leadership team now that's got more diverse experiences that will hopefully come in and help things in the service as well.
Any plans set on the chief's job?
Absolutely not. No, too much weight on my shoulders.
Right. Okay, what I'm going to do now is we're going to fire onto a quick fire round. Thank you for all those answers. Okay, so I'll give you, some of them I'll give you 2 answers, some of them I'll ask you for an answer.
Okay.
Are you ready? Okay, so first one, pizza or pasta?
Pasta.
Really?
Yeah.
Pizza.
You look disappointed.
Pizza, everyone picks pizza. A city break or a spa break?
City.
Oh, I'd rather a spa and put my feet up.
Oh, well.
Running or cycling?
Definitely running.
Yeah, good choice.
Big run.
Being too hot or being too cold?
Cold.
Really?
Yeah. Love to ski, so like cold
holidays
holidays type of, you know.
Makes sense. Watching sport or playing sport?
Oh, that's tough. Probably watching as I've got older.
Less injuries that way.
Yeah.
A night in or a night out?
Definitely a night in.
Yep. This is a good one. Oxfordshire Fire and Rescue or Nottinghamshire Fire and Rescue?
Oh, without a doubt. Like
Oxfordshire?
Obviously
Right.
Oxfordshire.
Thought you were going to say Nottinghamshire then.
No.
Football or rugby?
Rugby, 100%.
Read the book or watch the movie?
Again, that's changed since I've got older. Watch the movie.
Oh, right, okay. So
no headspace to do anything else.
just easy, isn't it? Signature dish. Have you got one?
Oh, yeah. I'd have to say it's got to be steak with blue cheese Stilton sauce.
Oh, nice. Good choice. Cakes or donuts?
Cakes.
No. Would you rather be able to read people's minds or see into the future?
See into the future.
Yeah, I think it's probably better. You're probably not going to want to know what's in people's minds.
No.
Favourite restaurant?
Oh, love. So is it yeah, it is a restaurant, but love the Wild Rabbit at Kingham. It's my local, and it's.
Oh, I've never been there.
Yeah,
I'll have to look it up.
Very nice, very good.
What's worse, spiders or snakes?
Snakes.
Yeah, agree with you there. Countryside or seaside?
Countryside.
Last one, you're trapped by floodwater. Which station and what would you call to come and rescue you?
Oh, that's terrible.
We've got to give an answer.
Well, you guys, of course.
Red Watch at Roody Road.
Red Watch at Roody Road. Although, you know, I'm a big RT fan. So Kidlington, Rescue Tender.
They'd be second after Red Watch.
Close second.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming down and chatting with us.
Thank you very much.
And catch us again in the future.